And we are live. Welcome to this week's episode of the Bullpen Cart Podcast presented by ThunderblogSports.com. I, of course, am the G-Man, Jordy Cannell, and joining me, as always, is my man, the prophet himself, Greg Piatelli. How are you, my friend?
Awesome. Bruins look good. Red Sox looking good. Things are almost right in the world.
Yeah,
how are you doing?
I'm good. I was thinking today as I was looking over our picks from the NHL, from the Stanley Cup playoffs, and if you hear in the background, that is my dog coming in to say hello to us. But yeah, I'm doing pretty well. I was looking over our picks and saw that I got two series 100% correct last round. So I made a nice little push in terms of our accuracy in terms of points. But Greg, as we mentioned in the last show, you went 4-0, really making a dent in Jared's lead. So now I only trail him by a point. You now are trailing him by 10 points compared to your over 15 point deficit, or over 15 point, almost 20 point deficit you had after the first round. And I think we're both about to make a very large dent, as Jared thought that the Carolina Hurricanes were going to take down the Bruins in 5 games. And as you mentioned, the Bruins are up 3-0. And I also thought about this, Greg, a little spin zone for you. Since the Celtics ruined the Boston sweep, either you get 3 teams in the finals, which we talked about how Philadelphia's the only one that's done 4 for 4. I don't know if anybody's done three of 4 outside of the 4 for 4 of appearances. So you can either be the only city to ever hold all 3, because I'm pretty sure that's never happened. Or on the flip side of it, you can be the only franchise to have ever blown 2 3-0 leads. So really, it's all wins here, Greg.
You're such a dick.
I picked the Bruins. I'm still alive with my Stanley Cup pick. I picked the Bruins to win the cup. I was thinking about that and thought it was a little. Had to give you that spin zone just in case.
Yeah, just in case I forgot my worst ever live sporting event.
I forgot you went to the game. I forgot you.
Oh, you forgot? How convenient! Oh, how convenient!
Oh man, yeah, but you we can talk about that a little bit at the end. But this past week of baseball, obviously a little bit shorter of a week since we last spoke, since we recorded Thursday afternoon, but a lot happened this weekend and a lot happened Tuesday night, which we can talk about since you were there. But Greg, let's jump into the usual business. Hot and cold teams. We'll start in the American League, and I'll start with you, my friend. Who do you got for your hot team of the week?
American League. I mean, it's tough not to say the Red Sox 2 weeks in a row, but I feel like you have to go with the team that won 7 straight, and that's the Houston Astros. Jordy, tell me why Houston's on an unbelievable tear right now.
Yeah, so as Greg mentioned, 7 wins in a row, and a lot of this is just coming off the back of a number of their guys starting to really, really kill the ball, but fantastic pitching as well. But 2 shutouts in there, a couple 1-run games, but also putting up 3 games where they put up double digits. I mean, these guys are starting to really see the ball really well in the last week. And this is all without Jose Altuve. He's been on the DL for a couple weeks, but Michael Brantley, George Springer, Alex Bregman, all picking up. I mean, Bregman, we kind of figured.
Who's Aldemus Diaz?
Aldemus Diaz.
Yeah. He's their utility guy, it looks like. First base, second base. I mean, he had a great week. He had 11 RBIs, 3 home runs in the last 7 days, and Houston's on a what? Like we just said, a
7-game streak.
7-game win streak.
Brantley too. Brantley's had a pretty big week as well,
and Springer obviously, and whatever. But I mean, it's.
If
they're being the Rangers,
Carlos Correa and Jake Marisnick all have 1 more hit, they have 5 guys batting over 300, which is just insane.
Yeah, and they're beating the Royals and the Rangers and the Tigers, and granted, those aren't the best of teams, but the Rangers had a pretty hot start. And the Royals
and the Astros had a really slow start too. This is what, like, you kind of figured out, like with the Red Sox, you figure that these teams that are, probably 2 of the top 3 teams in baseball, probably the top 2, depending on where you fall on some other teams that are that you expect after a slow start to have these kind of runs. So them playing teams like LA, like Kansas City, like Texas, like Detroit, you expect them to go 9-1 against those opponents. So I mean, it's nice that they're doing it on the road too. Obviously, winning a combined 19-5 currently in your series in Detroit, and you're going tonight to try to go for the sweep and for 8 in a row. But I mean, you're expecting them to do that. So the fact that they're actually really starting to tear the cover off the ball is exactly what you need.
Yeah,
if you're the Astros,
and the fact that they're right now a plus 83 run differential, as you mentioned,
that's huge.
Yeah, I mean, you look at their wins: 11-4, 8-1, 15-5, 11-4, 3-0, 4-2, 9-0, 6-4, 10-4, 14-4. They're just absolutely hammering teams.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And that's those types of numbers are through the roof.
Oh yeah, and I mean, again, it's we keep saying it, but their offense has been insane. But you just cannot discount what their pitching's been doing. The starting staff is really getting it going with Garrett Cole and Verlander leading the way there. But they're back into their bullpen with Roberto Osuna. Has been fantastic, and they have a number of other guys. Hector Rendon, Ryan Presley, and Will Harris are all their setup men, and the highest ERA of all of them is Hector Rendon, who in 15 games has only allowed 3 earned runs. So that's the kind of the back end that you're working with, and with guys like Verlander, Cole, Brad Peacock, Wade Miley's actually having a pretty good year too. Former Red Sox, Greg. And but when they're able to hand the ball off to even 2 of those 3 setup men, and then have Osuna close it out, that's just a tough equation to beat.
Yeah, no, I agree. Did you have a different team, or are you going to stick with the Astros as well?
I was going to pick the Astros, but I'll pick a second one. You're not going to like it, and the only reason why I'm doing this is because we're going to talk about the Red Sox anyway. But I'm going to talk about the Yankees for a minute. They've had themselves a good week.
Not the Minnesota Twins?
No, I talked about the Twins a couple weeks ago. I figured diversify it out a little bit. But like the Twins, Yankees winners of 7 of their last 3. I also could have picked our favorite, Greg, the Tampa Bay Rays. But we talk about them a lot, and I'm sure Rays Watch 2019 will begin very soon. But the Yankees, 7 of their last 10, they're starting to take care of business, kind of what some people thought they might be able to do. Present company excluded. The Yankees won 2 of 3 from Minnesota about a week and a half ago, took 3 of 4 from Seattle, and then over the weekend took 2 of 3 from Tampa Bay. They won the first game of their doubleheader today because the weather in the East Coast, I'm sure, Greg, you're seeing this too in Boston, but in Philadelphia and in Baltimore, basically the same weather patterns as us, has been nothing but rain since Sunday afternoon. Today, the sun finally came out for the first time in 3 days. So the Yankees have missed 2 games, but took care of business in game 1, and they're up 5-3 currently in game 2 against the Orioles. Or actually, no, Yahoo is that wrong. It's 0-0 right now, but it shows 5-3 when you see it on the little box score at the top. But anyway, they're starting to figure things out, and this is a team that a lot of people were talking about. They've had a number of injuries, and guys are still shuffling through the revolving door of the injured list. But Clint Frazier's hitting the ball well. Aaron Judge hitting the ball well. DJ LeMahieu hitting .333, 21 ribbies. Luke Voit leading the team with 30 RBI and 10 home runs. Gary Sanchez with 11. I mean, so these guys, a lot of the same story, a lot of home runs, but they're really starting to get those averages up, Greg. So you got to give them credit where it's due, and their pitching staff has looked a lot better than where they started at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, and it's to be said, without Judge, without their guys that people thought were going to be there, right? Stanton, even Tulowitzki, even though he's garbage. But and that's sort of the craziest part about this is that they're going about it with these all these quote unquote injuries, and that's the story, and everyone's all up in arms about how the Yankees are good and everyone's hurt, and Gary Sanchez is finally doing well, and DJ LeMahieu and whatever. But the point is, Jordy, the Yankees are young. The Yankees are good. We knew they were going to have talent. We knew they were going to be this type of team, and they set the most amount of home runs last year for a reason, and that's partly because they play in a Little League park, but that's also because they can hit the ball.
Yeah, and a lot of credit, too. I didn't mention him, but Cameron Maybin's really come onto the scene well for him. They picked him up a couple weeks ago. He's batting .297. No homers for him, so he's the small ball guy, but getting on base percentage of .422 in 13 games with New York so far this season. So, I mean, they're kind of getting it done in all different ways.
Yeah, no, and good for us. Good for us for getting that right.
Yeah. I mean, I think you had them second, so they're in your current slated spot. So good for you. I don't know.
Good for me.
Honorable mentions, though. You mentioned Minnesota. We mentioned Tampa Bay. That's really about it. Cleveland's still fumbling around. Their offense hasn't really figured it out, and that's probably one that you want to see start to figure it out somewhere in there. But yeah, let's go to cold teams, though. American League. Greg, who do you got for that?
And we don't like to talk about teams that, like the Blue Jays, 2-8, that are probably going to be cold all year. We don't like to talk about, or personally, I don't like to talk about that. And it's tough because we talked about Seattle last week, but I'm gonna go with Cleveland just because the Twins are doing all right, but they're giving Cleveland a chance to come back, right? They're giving Cleveland an opportunity to catch up, and Cleveland losing 2 out of 3 to Oakland, splitting with the White Sox, splitting with the Marlins, losing to the Astros. They're not taking advantage of it, and this team that really should be signing Kluber, I guess, getting back some pitching to help them, or they need a bat, clearly, because they've only put up 150 runs, but also their pitching's doing all right, but it comes down to they're not producing offensive runs, and they're giving up too many, which is the easiest, simplest, dumbest thing to say in baseball. But 153 runs total against and 150 scored is never a good sight.
No. And that's probably the main point of this that we were talking about a little bit. Their offense certainly is not there. They are in the bottom 5 teams of, for whatever reason, couldn't say that, in offensively, statistically. Also not a word there, but yeah, I mean, they're struggling with a number of guys hurt. Some guys like Jose Ramirez having a really bad start to his season. He's batting .195 with only 4 homers. A guy who had a lot of high expectations. And when Francisco Lindor is only batting .279, that's tough to swallow too. Carlos Santana, you bring him back after his year with the Phillies. He's kind of batting around the same level. He's still getting on base a ton. He has 22 walks versus his 26 strikeouts. But a lot of the other guys on this team just really aren't stepping up. I know they've had injuries here and there, but they're either not hitting or missing guys. And you mentioned it, Greg. They're pitching outside of Brad Hand, who's their closer, by the way. Their pitching staff really is struggling. Mm-hmm. So I mean, I don't know what it is. I don't know if guys are still banged up a little bit. Trevor Bauer comes to mind of whether or not he is, even though his ERA is floating around 3. He is 4-2 right now. I don't know what the solution is. If it's their offense is going to right the ship soon. You hope playing the Baltimore Orioles for 4 games and the Oakland A's for 3 games at home is going to kind of put you in a good position before you host Tampa Bay in a couple weeks. But I don't know. Something's got to give. The water has to find its level, and I don't know when exactly it finds that in the Cuyahoga River.
Nice.
Yeah. You always think about that song from the opening of Major League. Yeah.
Jordan, did you have a cold team of the week, or are you just gonna ride?
Yeah, I'm gonna go a little. I'm gonna go a little bit out of the box. I'm gonna go with the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim as my cold team of the week. They are 5-5 in their last 10 games. They actually won their two most recent series before losing to Minnesota to lose that series today. Really took care of business in Detroit, took care of business at Baltimore, And then up in Minnesota, they won their first game, lost their second game by a run, and lost today by a run as well, to lose that series 2-1. But the thing that's the struggle for the Angels is that they either start the season off or start their games off cold and then have to put something together later in games when, it's either too little too late because their pitching staff put them in a bad spot. That was the case today. The Angels were down 6-1 before they actually started to score runs, and they let up 2 more and ended up losing 8-7. And they actually put together a ninth inning rally to make it 8-7. But the other day, their offense just couldn't fully get it going. This is a team that, with Shohei Ohtani returning in the last week, hitting a home run this week, going 3 for 4 yesterday. Doing pretty well, doing okay today, batting 1 for 6, but scoring a run, getting on base, and taking advantage of that. Mike Trout, obviously, doing what he's able to do,
returning just in hitting. Correct.
Yeah, I'm talking about their with Shohei Ohtani. I don't think he's pitched yet. I don't think he's allowed to pitch for this year. I think did he get Tommy John surgery?
I think he needed it, right?
Yeah, I think he got Tommy John, so I think he's only allowed to hit. I don't think he's allowed to pitch yet. So I think we'll get an idea. We'll get a really good idea of his hitting ability through 2/3 of a season. If I had to guess, I don't know if they're going to just also rest him because even hitting it, expends some energy on your arm. But yeah, I mean, the bottom half of their lineup, though, that's probably where it starts to fall apart a little bit. Zach Cozart really not hitting well so far this year. They have a couple guys. They called up a guy, Jared Walsh, who went 3 for 5 today. Those were his first 3 hits of the season, or first 5 at bats even. But yeah, it's been kind of the story surrounding LA of A all season, that really outside of their top 5 hitters, that they can't really get a complete lineup to totally figure everything out. But I mean, they're 20-23. They're doing better than I certainly thought they were going to. And if not for a Houston 7-game win streak, they'd be fairly close in this race right now.
Right. No, and I mean, that's the beauty of it, right? Is that they have the offense, they have in theory, they have the bats that could propel them at least to a wild card, you would think.
Yep.
But they don't have the pitching, and you can't, especially in the West, where there's just too many good offensive power teams. If you're not going to beat teams 15-14 like the Yankees, then you need to be able to pitch. And Matt Harvey, Cahill, not really getting those are the only 2 guys, right? Not really getting the job done for them so far. So
they still have Garrett Richards, don't they? Is he banged up again?
He's not. I don't think he's pitched this year.
Oh, yeah, maybe he's hurt. And hence why I've heard so little from him.
But like Matt Harvey, Trevor Cahill, both 6.5, 6.9, 6.6 ERA. Like that's
tough. That's tough to swallow.
Yeah, those are supposed to be your quote unquote best pitchers, right? This year. I mean,
yeah.
Anyway, Jordy, National League team. What do you got? You got a hot team of the week.
I'm gonna go with the Dodgers. I could go with the team I picked to win the NL Central. I'll let you take them if you'd like, but I'm gonna go with LA of LAD, the Lads, if you will, who are still same story aside from a little bit of a skid. Pitching really well, hitting even better. 3rd Major League Baseball in total runs scored and 6th in ERA. These guys, Greg, I mean, I don't know what we can say that hasn't been said. Cody Bellinger hitting really well. Justin Turner hitting really well. Corey Seager hitting better. And the rest of that support cast that has been the story throughout every regular season for the last couple of years, that the Dodgers are able to plug and play, and it works over the course of the regular season. And I think as they start to gain more and more momentum, it's going to once again be the question of whether or not they can reproduce it in the playoffs. But their pitchings look better and better, and that's part of the reason why I'm picking them. Guys like Ross Stripling, Julio Urias, Clayton Kershaw in just his 6 starts because he missed the beginning of the season, looking pretty sharp. So the Dodgers, they're looking great.
Yeah, no, that's a great pick, and just to be different and to give a team that really should be talked about a little bit is the Cubs.
Yes.
This last week alone, they've 2 out of 3 versus the Brewers, swept the Marlins. Nope. 2 out of 3 from the Marlins, swept the Cardinals. Swept the Mariners. 2 out of 3 from the Diamondbacks. 2 out of 3 from your Dodgers. So they, as a team, are hitting the ball really well. 209 runs scored, and their pitching staff, you could argue, is John Lester has been one of the better pitchers in all of baseball this year.
Yes.
And even Cole Hamels with 49 strikeouts, and there's just a lot of good things going on for them right now.
The Phillies go there for a 4-game set next week, and I am very nervous.
I mean, John Lester's got a 1.16 ERA.
Their pitchings look great, and we mention this every week, but their offense is just getting better and better and better after starting so cold. Chris Bryant is now batting .270. He was batting well below the Mendoza line in the first couple weeks of the season. Wilson Contreras above 300. Javi Baez is up to 320. Anthony Rizzo's at 250, and he was batting below the Mendoza line before. These guys are starting to catch fire, and I think if the NL Central isn't careful, this could start to turn into 2016, especially because the Brewers, they had a very good week, and that's a good honorable mention because they kind of needed to, and they are currently up 1-0 on the Phillies, so they're about to win, or not about to. It's only the first inning. I get so nervous, Greg. But the Cubs, if their pitching continues like this, the way that they were able to in 2016, then we're getting to a position where it becomes basically where the Brewers and Cardinals have to fight for the spots the Cubs and Pirates did the year that they finished 1-2, that they and the Cardinals finished 1-2-3 in the National League, and that could certainly happen. I think this division might be a little too good from top to bottom for it to be a 1-2-3 type scenario in the National League, but who knows? I mean, I'm feeling more and more confident about my pick for the Cubs to win the Central. So good on me.
Yeah, and it comes down to the Brewers, letting up,
figuring it out. Yeah.
Well, no, they let up 202 runs as a pitching staff. That's miserable. Yeah. The reason why they're winning is because their
offense is great.
Their offense is through the roof, through the moon.
And they play much better at home than they do away.
Right.
I think that's probably the craziest thing about Milwaukee, shifting gears to them, is that they're 9-11 away. I mean, not a ton of teams are great away from home. The Cubs are only 10-8. The Dodgers are 10-10. The Phillies are 9-9. So it's not it's not like that's abysmal to be 2 games under 500 on the road. But when your starting staff struggles that much and offensively, you really only seem to get it going when you're playing in your home and on your home field. That is something to be concerning about. Whereas the Cubs have been doing it all over the place. They've won on the road. They've won at Wrigley Field, which was something that ended up being a little bit of their downfall last year, is that they blew the game 163 and the wild card game at there. But they're winning well on the road. They're winning even better at Wrigley. So you got to give them all props there.
Yeah, I hear you. But the Brewers, maybe they go get Kluber,
Yeah, who knows? I mean,
or Keuchel. Which one's out?
Keuchel's the free agent.
Okay, I always get them confused.
Yeah. Well, Kluber's not a crazy thought if the Indians don't figure it out, and they're kind of out there to try to start to, I don't know where they fall of. When do they think they're over the hump in the Central? If the Twins really are blooming into this team that we saw a couple years ago when they won the wild card, or when they got a wild card spot and lost to the Yankees in the wild card game. But if that's starting to really develop into we're becoming the class of the American League Central, do they want to try to figure out how can we restock some of the farm?
No, and I think the Cubs, going back to my hot team of the week, are really doing what they need to do to,
they're winning where they need to win.
Well,
that's
strides,
the most important thing.
Take strides and win more series than they lose, right? And that's really the goal of any Major League Baseball season, because it's so long, is win more series than you lose and not get swept. And I think the Cubs are doing that right now. Jordy, can we just agree and talk about one cold of the team of the week, and that has to be the St. Louis Cardinals, who are sure as shit playing themselves out of the Central Division?
Yes, I totally agree with you. They are by far the coldest team in terms of, like Greg mentioned, we're not going to spend every week talking about the Miami Marlins, who are 1-9. We're going to talk about teams that we think could be doing better if not for a shitty week. And nobody's done shittier in terms of contenders than the St. Louis Cardinals. Winners of 3 of their last 7 games. We're seeing what once started to be this awesome tear they were on, where they were hitting the crap out of the ball. Their pitching staff looked awesome. All of a sudden, the well has started to dry up offensively, and pitching wise, Greg, it's been a little bit of a concern as well. Pulling up their schedule, they, aside from a 17-4 win against the Pirates and a 14-3 winning at the Braves yesterday, they've really struggled to score runs, not being able to score more than 1 run in 5 of their 6 losses, where they got shut out. They got shut out by the Phillies. They only scored 1 run against the Phillies at home, and then lost 2 games 2-1 against the Pirates, where they actually had some good pitching, and then lost 10-6 to get to lose 3 of 4 to the Pittsburgh Pirates over the weekend. Now they hit the road, obviously a nice night last night, but that's something really to be concerned about, because you're starting to face some better teams in Atlanta. You're going to go face Texas this weekend, and then you host Kansas City in that crazy Missouri rivalry. But
it's also like they got swept by the Cubs. Okay, yep. We just talked about the Cubs being the hottest team, but they're also same division, so you have to at least win 1 game. Because if you get swept by a team, if you get swept by a team who's above you, that's just only going to make it worse for yourselves. The Phillies losing 2 out of 3 at home, tough look. The worst look is losing 3 out of 4 to the Pirates. I know Jared would think otherwise, but losing 3 out of 4 to the Pirates is basically like getting swept.
Again, divisional team that's below you,
right?
Who's now a game behind you because you lost 3 out of 4 to them, and the Pirates have a negative 47 run differential, so they shouldn't be putting 10 runs up against you,
right?
And you're only putting up 6.
All right, it'd be like losing to the Marlins or the Orioles 3 out of 4. So it's just a terrible week for them. Still above 500 and only 3.5 games back, which just shows how good of a start that they had to the season.
But to kind of paint a picture, they've only won 4 games in May. Yeah,
that's crazy. And in the division with the Cubs and Brewers, you're going to have
the Mets last year.
Yeah, in the division with the Cubs and Brewers, you're going to have to do better than that. So easy cold team of the week for both of us. Jordy, what is the next segment, kid?
Let's do a little Red Sox talk, Greg. I want to hear, you went to the game last night. You saw Chris Sale's 17 strikeouts. Paint me a word picture. What was it like last night?
It was freezing, but not as cold as the World Series game that I went to. Not a big deal.
A little humble brag there. Love it.
Unfortunately, no Dells, but that'll come later in the stadium snack on what I actually got to eat. It was
for later.
It was disappointing because they had a 4-0 lead. Chris Sale gets a 2-run home run. All right, fine. Still 4-2. Guys struck out 17 guys. We should be fine. Nope. Brandon Workman, 2-run home run, 4-4. As a pitching staff, they struck out 21 or 22 guys through through 9 innings, let alone the extra that they went into. So as a pitching staff, they did it well. Besides the 4 home runs, they did enough. And the Red Sox hit 3 home runs to get 3 out of the 4 of their runs, and then manufactured the other one. But so it was a good little run here. The Red Sox right now seems like they've been sparked. 2 things: their pitching staff looks like, we had talked about in the preview blog about Swihart and catcher Blake Swihart, Christian Vasquez, and Sandy Leone. They started the year with Sandy Leone in AAA and Blake Swihart in the majors, and then they traded Blake and brought up Sandy. And since Sandy Leon has come back, it's sort of seemed like he's corrected Chris Sale and a couple of the other pitchers. So nothing to be said because Blake Swire is a great player, but Sandy Leon is just one of those catchers who is going to play two times or one time out of 5, and
he's the Doug Mirabelli.
Exactly, but he's going to make the pitching staff that much better.
Yeah, he just can't. It's not like you can only catch a knuckleball.
Yeah, well, he only
that's still one of the better he only bleacher creature stories of Doug Mirabelli getting the flight from. I think he was with the Padres, and then Boston PD just drives him in a police brigade from Logan Airport to Fenway.
Yeah, they right at the deadline, they traded for him for the playoffs, all that. Really, it's this kid Michael Chavis who they called up just now this year. He's been playing second.
He's killing it.
Yeah, he's been playing second because Pedroia and then Nunez got hurt. But Nunez being back. But Chavis plays second. He's originally a third baseman, but he's been playing second. His thing is, though, he's got 7 home runs since he's been up. His big thing is loves to strike out and loves to sort of hit solo home runs as opposed to when guys are on. But he's a good little player, good little guy. 21 games, 7 home runs, so that's pretty good math if you do it out that way.
He's as many as Mookie in half the games and almost as many RBI.
Yeah.
Also, almost as many strikeouts in as many games as Mookie. So good on you, Mookie.
Yeah, Mookie's having a pretty good year. No, really, the MVP has to be. You have to be JD Martinez again for this team. The big surprise is Rafael Devers, which we'll get to in a potential hot player of the week. But the Red Sox are starting to figure out pitching wise. David Price shut down for a couple weeks to get his shoulder better. He'll come back strong. Right before he went on the injured list, he had a 10 strikeouts, 7 innings, 2 or 1 run game. So he figures things out and sort of surprising.
Is it just overworked? Is it sore? What's the deal with that?
Yeah, they didn't really get into it, but it was surprising that he went on the DL.
I saw that and was a little surprised to see that.
Yeah, he went on the DL with shoulder soreness. I mean, whatever that means. But it was right after a game where he went 7, struck out 10, and only let up 1. So a little confusing on the time. But Chris Sale, obviously, again, we could potentially go into him for Hot Players of the Week. But they're getting strong pitching throughout. Porcello is the one who needs to figure it out in terms of their starting staff. Rick Porcello was a big reason why they did well last year and needs to do better. And then they don't really have a 5th starter right now. Eovaldi needs to come back, and they've just been running out Hector Velasquez recently. So they need to get a 5th starter, a.k.a. Eovaldi and Price need to get off the DL and wake the F up. But other than that, Sox are looking good. They're looking strong. This year, the schedule just works out that they start out the year on the road, which led to their slow start. They don't really have a lot of breaks throughout the season because they're going to London for a 2-game series, and the MLB has given them a weird 4 days after the fact.
That's strange.
Yeah, or 3 days, something crazy like that. So it's
a version of the bye week.
Yeah,
when the NFL teams do it.
Yeah, and so it's a little strange, and they're playing a whole bunch of games, before and after, and don't really have a lot of breaks in the schedule until that time or whatever, what have you. So it's been overloaded, but they figured it out. 8-2 in the last 10, unbelievable. Plus 26, finally starting to pitch better. They're obviously going to score runs, among the top, if not the most runs scored in all of Major League Baseball, or second most, behind the Dodgers, obviously. But pretty good start, or terrible start, pretty good recently. Jordy, quick Philly talk? I mean,
we can jump into the Phillies quick.
We did them last week. Just give me a quick little thing, quick little blurb. Who's a better addition, Realmuto or Harper?
Ooh. See, what's interesting about that question, Greg, is Bryce Harper made a game-winning catch on Monday night. Diving catch that saved potentially the game-winning runs from it. So I'd edge toward him, but having Real Muto has been, especially what comparatively to what the Phillies had at catcher last year, and the combination of Jorge Alfaro and Andrew Knapp, who's still on the team. He's just such a better defensive catcher. He's a better hitter than both of them. Bryce Harper, replacing, if you will, the Nick Williams, Aaron Altair tandem. Aaron Altair, now a San Francisco Giant after being placed on waivers last week, as a quick roster update. I think that the difference between Harper and that combo at the moment is not as wide as Real Muto over the catching tandem that the Phillies had last year. And it kind of talks, you talked about it a little bit with Sandy Leon, but JT Real Muto wanted to play extra spring training games, more innings in those games, so he could really get an idea of the pitching staff, so he could help them and help them excel to the point that the Phillies want them to, especially because, like we mentioned last week, pitching will always be a topic to talk about on this podcast every week from the Philadelphia Phillies, because somebody's going to fucked up somewhere. So what he has brought to the table has been absolutely invaluable.
Yeah, and Real Muto's played in all but 2 games?
Yeah, Harper's played in every game, which has been a big debate of whether or not when Bryce Harper should get a day off. Well, but Real Muto's played pretty much every game, and Andrew Knapp has played. He pinch hits here and there, but
as a catcher, you play every game. Like, that's absurd.
His they talked about this a lot at the beginning of the season. His usage number last year, I think he played 155 games. It's pretty absurd of a catcher playing that many games.
Jeez, it's like Buster Posey status.
Yeah.
It's funny because, like, the Red Sox, I don't know, they've always had a 2-catcher tandem, and I feel like that's like a thing that people do, but I guess not for Real Muto. So you didn't give me an answer. Harper, Real Muto. That's the question, Jordy. Take defense into account. Take the fact that Real Muto's hitting 270, Harper's hitting 219. Take into account that Harper's got 56 strike, 30. Harper's got 25 RBI, so is Real Muto. You tell me. You can hint where I'm. You tell.
Can you still hear me, Greg?
I can hear you now. Yeah.
Greg, can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes, I can hear you.
Okay,
Can
cool.
you hear me?
Yeah, you were coming in choppy a little bit there. Yeah, I can hear you. Before I answer your question, and before we restart, because I'm gonna have to edit this, I'm gonna use the bathroom quick.
Clever.
So then you can re-ask your question. No, it's just, we have a moment,
Cut. Ow now, brown cow. Jory.
What's up?
All I know. Hey, bud. All right.
Alrighty. When we go back, just start from the you never answered my question and list off those stats. All right. In 3, 2, 1.
You never answered my question. Who would have, Harper or Real Muto? Real Muto, 270 batting average. Harper, 219. JT, 32 strikeouts. Harper, 56. Same RBIs. Basically, JT has more hits than Harper does, more runs than Harper does, in less at bats, 2 less games. But Harper, yes, has more walks and a better on base percentage, but if we're being honest, Jordy, you can tell where I'm leaning. Who is a better value add?
So I'm still going to go with Harper because I think the value he adds to the lineup as a whole. When you're game planning around Bryce Harper, and you have to basically take a roll of the dice of whether or not you want to pitch to him and see if you can get him to strike out, or do you want to walk him and let Rhys Hoskins, JT Realmuto, Odubel Herrera, depending on how many outs there are, you still have to face the rest of those guys. Rhys Hoskins, better numbers than both of them. I mean, Rhys Hoskins has struck out just 7 times less than Bryce has, but more RBI, more homer, less walks than Harper, but the same number of runs as Realmuto. And the stats when Bryce Harper draws a walk for Rhys Hoskins, I tried to look up the tweet while you were asking me. But if we can find it, you'll see the numbers are outstanding when that happens. So the fact that Rhys accelerates with that, Realmuto accelerates with that, because of the fact that teams they're planning around having to face this guy. But they're leaving lefties in for Rhys, they're leaving him in for JT because they bring him in to face Harper, and they don't want to have to just keep overusing their bullpen when the Phillies get to him that quickly.
Yeah, so you could argue that Rhys is benefiting from hitting in between the two guys. So
he absolutely is.
We're not talking about Rhys. We're talking about Harper versus Realmuto because, I mean, smartest move ever by Gabe the Babe putting Rhys in the middle of the two of them. Because
I still would have batted if say they never get Harper. I would still bat Rhys 4th. I wouldn't have put Rhys 3rd. You want him in a position where you guys get on base. You'd probably put Realmuto. Probably put him 3rd because
you put Rhys 3rd, and then you put Realmuto 4th. I mean,
Realmuto's a better hitter though. He gets on.
You want that guy 3rd. You want that guy to, like, JD Martinez always bat 3rd. You know.
Yeah, I guess so.
You want him closer in the lineup to be able to get more at bats.
To batter when they come around for the 4th time up.
Right.
My only argument, if there's no Harper, you'd bat Realmuto 3rd because he's a better hitter. So in theory, he's on base more for Rhys versus Rhys being on base more for JT is my argument. But again, I still think Bryce Harper.
The question. You say Harper.
Yeah, I'm going Harper because of the fact that teams have to build their strategy around having to face this guy, because as seen last week against the St. Louis Cardinals, when you screw up, which in the era of the specialist, guys with insane 12-6 curves, sliders that basically slide across state lines, Harper can certainly struggle against it. 56 strikeouts speak for themselves. But when you screw that up, he's going to send the ball into the next century. I mean,
what about defense? You know, defense has to play into it. I mean, I think Realmuto,
certainly Harper's been a great defender, though.
I think Realmuto might be one of the better.
Oh, he might be the best catcher in baseball, and he's like I mentioned,
one of the better pickups. One of the better pickups of all baseball this last season.
Oh yeah, that between that and I would argue the Gene Segura pickup's probably better, just because of what he's been able to do, and he just hit another home run tonight. It's 1-1 now, but batting 308. He's going to be one of my friends made the comment. He's going to be the guy who probably does the most in the Phillies lineup, and he's just not going to get any of the credit for it because of guys like Harper, Hoskins, Realmuto, Odubel Herrera, Aaron Nola. Segura is going to be that guy that should deserve his castle, if we're going to go Game of Thrones theme. But he doesn't get as much of the credit that he deserves. So I mean, what Klentak and the Phillies were able to do outside of spending the stupid money, before that they were in a better position than they were a year ago when they were still a team that was battling for a division lead and within a game and a half on August 1st. So, I mean, hats off to the front office, but I still think having to plan your game around one specific player is something that I think adds a lot to the lineup. It adds a lot of confidence, and it's why you're seeing guys play so well and why the offense can take off at will.
Final question about the Phillies. Why does Andrew McCutchen play so much?
Mainly because of the fact that I would think Gabe the Babe wants to use him as this veteran guy. He's their leadoff hitter. He was for opening day. He's done very well after the fact. And
but you have Odubel Herrera, you have Aaron Altair, Scott King.
Yeah, Altair's gone.
What happened to him?
He got put on waivers, and the Giants picked him up.
Oh shit! I didn't know that.
Yeah, we took Matty D and I talked about this last week with Roman Quinn coming back and getting healthier. The Phillies kind of needed something had to give, and Altair's really.
Whoa! I was on the pod last week.
Well, we talked about this 2 weeks ago, because this was. As it might have even been 3 weeks ago that we talked about it.
Anyway, the point is that
Altair. Yeah. So to answer your question, though,
Nick Williams. I mean, Odubel Herrera. Why isn't he? I mean, whatever. The point is,
Odubel Herrera has been hurt. That's why he does not have as many games or he had been hurt. He is back now. But your traditional rolled out Phillies outfield is McCutcheon in left, Herrera in center, Harper in right. This past weekend when they were in Kansas City, they were playing Nick Williams in left field and having Harper DH and then moving that around a little bit. Part of the reason with Nick Williams not starting that often, he's really good against righties. He's a left-handed hitter, not good against left-handed hitting or left-handed pitching. So that's a big part of it, I think. McCutcheon also brings that experience. I think Gabe really values that in the lineup, and having a guy like that being out there, kind of showing them all how to be pros and all that stuff, those intangibles that the analytics, you can't calculate really into analytics. You can't quantify that. So I think Gabe likes having that on top of the analytics that he holds so near and dear to his heart.
Awesome. Anything else in the Phillies before we move into hot and cold players?
Greg, I want to say there have been 7 shutouts thrown by major league pitchers this year, and Zach Eflin has 2 of them. Eflin Mania, baby. Let's fucking go.
Gabe the Babe.
Zach Eflin Mania it outdates Gabe the Babe, but I think Gabe the Babe's bringing it out.
I mean, last year it was the other guy, the other pitcher, the all-star.
Nick Pivetta?
No, your all-star.
Who, Nola?
Yeah.
Yeah, Nola's slowly but surely starting to figure his shit out. I mean, you'd hope he really figures it out. But his ERA is now sub 5.
It's amazing how cold you've gone on a guy who you were.
Oh, I still love Aaron Nola.
Classic
I
Philly.
love Aaron Nola.
Anyway, let's move into hot and cold players.
I've always loved Zach Eflin.
Whoa. Hot and cold players.
Check the tape.
Let's go.
Also, Cole Irvin, he got called up this week with Vince Velasquez going on the DL, and threw over 7 innings, 5 strikeouts, lefty starter. Cannot be happier to see the Phillies have a lefty starter. So just wanted to mention that too. Hot and cold players, Greg. We will start with Roy Hobbs, MVP of the week for batting, since it could be debated that we could have Chris Sale, but just to diversify things, Greg. We'll start in the National League. Switch things up. Who do you got for batter of the week?
National League batter of the week.
Yes.
I'm going to go with Josh Bell
from
the Pittsburgh Pirates. Batted 500 this week, 14 RBI, 4 home runs, 6 runs scored, on-base percentage of 1.54. On a Pirates team who not bad recently, but definitely needs offense and definitely needs to score more runs because they've among the lowest in all of baseball, if not the lowest. Second lowest, behind the Miami Marlins, obviously. The Pirates need some runs and hopefully Bell can help them do that.
Yeah, that was gonna be my pick if you hadn't gotten it. But yeah, he's certainly doing well there. Gregory Polanco also having a great week for the Pirates as well. Really taking care of business, as we mentioned, against St. Louis.
All right, who's your American League guy?
My American League guy. Oh, all right. I was gonna throw out a quick National League guy.
No.
Shout out to my boy Nolan Arenado from the Colorado Rockies. 2 homers, 8 RBI in 19 plate appearances. A whole lot of walks, a on-base percentage of nearly 500, and a batting average of 368 for the week. So really taking advantage of the money he got and really starting to have a great season for a Colorado Rockies team that's still trying to slowly but surely find their footing.
I saw him last night. He did not do well. Give me your American League. Go ahead.
Oh, that was also a pretty delayed laugh there.
Well, I was waiting for you to natural transition, but you know,
right.
some of us are better hosts and some of us are better stat guys. So
all right. Oof, shots fired, man. Well, you mentioned Aldemez Diaz. I'm gonna go with George Springer. Guy had 5 homers, 9 ribbies, batted 15 for 28 with 13 runs scored on the week. That's 536 batting average. On-base percentage just a little bit higher. That as he walked 4 times, but it only increased his batting average by 40 points, or his on-base percentage. But Greg, an OPS of 1.683. We mentioned the Astros at the top of the show. Awesome week for Springer, absolutely tearing the cover off the ball like the rest of his teammates. And I mean, you could pick a lot of guys on that team that are having fantastic weeks, but Springer leading the way, kind of what you expect from him.
Jordy, I need 5 minutes.
You need 5 minutes?
I need to bring this kid left his hockey bag in my house. I need to bring it down to him.
Okay, cool.
All right, I need 5 minutes. Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's all good. We'll come from where I talked about Springer.
All right, perfect.
Cool.
Jordy.
GP.
Sorry, bud.
It's all good, man.
Jesus Christ.
You want me to count it in?
Hang on. Okay.
Want me to count it in?
Yeah, up to you. Here we go.
All right, I just finished my point on George Springer. 3, 2, 1.
Jordy, great point about Springer, and I'm so happy you chose Springer because that allows me to pick my man, nicknamed the baby, Rafael Devers, for the Boston Red Sox. Great week, batted .500, 1 stolen base, 8 RBIs, 6 runs scored, 2 home runs for the Red Sox team that's really on top of their game right now.
Yeah, it's a good pick there. So you could have taken your boy Chavez as well.
Yeah,
nice little week from him.
Yeah, he did have a good week.
Not as good as Devers, but nice little week.
Yeah. Thank you. I thought it was a great week.
Yeah, got to give credit where it's due. Ronnie Rodriguez, also the Detroit Tigers, would have been a nice little pick there. Greg, let's go to pitching though. Do we need to pick anybody in the American League other than Chris Sale? He had 31 strikeouts in 15 innings.
I mean, I know who I'm going to pick, but
is it more insane that he went less innings in the game? He struck out 17 batters than his previous start.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that you could argue is Carrasco from Cleveland had 12 Ks and 0 earned runs and 2 starts. But I think Chris Sale has to be 31 strikeouts and 2 starts. Has to be some sort of something in terms of record or something crazy. But
yeah, that's a good point. There are, unfortunately, Chris Sale didn't get a win in either of those starts. So I mean, I guess that's part of it. The Red Sox ended up winning both starts, though. Is that because that's all that really matters?
Last night they lost in extras, so no. But they did win the other one also in extras. But he figured it out, and he had a slow start, and partly because they overworked all their pitchers going into the World Series. You and I were texting about it, but they did what they had to do to win the World Series, and they knew. They even made comments about it. Oh, my free agent won't be happy. Eovaldi made comments about it, but it is what it is, and they won the World Series, so ends justify the means, and they had a little slower start this year, but they're figuring it out, and Chris Sale, certainly great week.
Yeah, huge week for him. You mentioned Carlos Carrasco, Kyle Gibson, another guy that could have been a good pick. Not a huge innings eater, though. Might be my only complaint about him, but that's not really either here nor there. NL, Greg, I feel like this is a fairly wide open category for NL pitcher of the week. Would you agree?
Yeah. I mean, do you want me to go first? Or do you want to go first?
Yeah, you go first with this.
Okay, I'm gonna go with Kyle Hendricks for Chicago Cubs.
Great pick.
0.56 ERA, 0.56 WHIP, 14 Ks, 1 win, in 16 innings pitched. So also, I mean, that's 8 innings in both starts. So deep bullpen, eating innings for the bullpen, huge for them. And the Cubs, again, the hottest team of the week that you and I both agreed on.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Robbie Ray from the Arizona Diamondbacks. 17 Ks over 10 and 2/3 innings. 1 win, ERA sub 1, WHIP of 1.4, but he's obviously he's got the pitching clutch, if you will. If he's only letting up two runs, only one of them being earned. So really, he's kind of anchoring down that Diamondbacks team that we kind of expected him to do. Not a ton of innings eaten up for the Diamondbacks by Robbie Ray, but again, that clutch factor is certainly something to be withheld.
Yeah, no, I like it. Good for you. I mean, you didn't want to throw Eflin in there?
Yeah, you could throw Eflin in there. I normally try to go. I sort of sometimes by innings pitched, sometimes by strikeouts.
Well, complete game.
I mentioned Zach
right?
Eflin though. I gave Zach Eflin. I gave him his due.
Complete game strikeout, right?
Complete game shutout. It was pretty awesome. Only only pitcher with 2 of them this year. 7 Ks, only 4 innings or four runs allowed. It's pretty great. But yeah, Greg, you got a bullpen guy for me?
Yeah. Per usual, Jordy.
Yeah. You want me to get mine first?
Let's see. Do I want
All right,
to
I'm going to get mine
first
as you find one. I'm going to go with Zach Britton from the New York Yankees. Kind of really just filling out the Yankee love for me this week. He has 3 holds in as many games, 4 strikeouts, let up a hit and 3 hits, so a whip of 1. But really just was helping the Yankees out. We mentioned them as a good pick for Hot Team of the Week. So going with a guy from their bullpen there, because that's certainly been a shining star of that team right now.
Yeah, I love the pick, Jordy. I'm gonna go Kirby Yates, San Diego Padres. 2 saves, 2 appearances, 6 Ks. 6 Ks nice. In 2 innings means what, Jordy?
That means that he has struck out the side.
And 2 for 2.
Both innings.
Both of his innings, both save completions. So last 7 days, that's pretty good. Good on him. Yes. And the Padres doing better than last year by any stretch of the imagination, and only 5 games back.
The way the Dodgers are playing, and I can't imagine the Padres continue at this clip. I feel like that margin may widen, especially with Colorado playing better. You have any rookies you want to talk about for the week? I know we talked a little about the Red Sox guy, about the Astros guys. Anybody else you want to throw out there?
No. You?
All right. No, I don't have anybody right now. We can figure that out a little bit later in the season. Let's go to Stadium Snacks, though. I don't have any because I know I've been looking forward to hearing what you had at Fenway, Greg. So this is all you.
Yeah. So, like I said, went to Fenway, freezing cold nights. So Dells was not out selling. So I had to improvise, but also needed to get dinner. So scooped up a little Fenway Frank, 2 of them, if you will, with some peppers and onions, and the longer Fenway Frank. Unbelievable. If you haven't gotten one, haven't tried one, recommend it. Just really, really top-notch quality dog there. Didn't go with the sausage, but my roommate ended up getting a burger from Tasty Burger. Had a little bite of that. Unbelievable as well. And then, of course, salty peanuts. Where can you go wrong with salty peanuts?
You cannot go wrong with some peanuts at a baseball game. Definitely a great pick. It sounds incredible, Greg. I got to get back up to Fenway.
You have to. We had a great time.
I have to go with you. My only experience, not with you at Fenway Park. Gotta go with the master. Yeah.
So I love it. Jordy, any bleacher creature?
I have 2 of them for you, Greg.
Let's hear it.
All right, so the first one, I don't know if you saw this, but there was a girls softball pitcher from a New York high school. Her name is Shannon Becker. You heard about this story, Greg?
Fill me in.
Greg, she not only pitched a perfect game in her most recent softball game, or at least most recent of last week.
Perfect game is, first of all, impossible to do, but that's sick. Good for her.
Yeah. They play 7 innings, Greg, but she had a perfect strikeout game. 21 up, 21 struck out.
Damn.
Yeah.
21 batters total, perfect game. No errors, no walks, nothing. And she struck out all 27 players.
27 players struck out. 4 of them were looking.
I wonder how many foul balls were even, like how much contact was made, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're hitting 27 strikeouts, that means not one person's even laying a bunt down for a ground ball. Not one person's like, right? That's nothing. So how many times was the ball even hit? How many foul balls were hit?
I don't know the foul ball number.
No, but I'm saying
she did throw 83 pitches in 7 innings.
So math guy, give me that.
I mean, that means that there were at least 63 strikes thrown. I don't know how many of them went more than 3 pitches. I'll put it that way.
But that's still unreal.
Yeah, it's still unreal.
Yeah.
Greg, she's pitched 99 innings as of this perfect strikeout game.
Yes.
How many strikeouts do you think she has on the year?
99 innings.
Yeah, 99 innings.
Oh boy. Let's see. So we'll call that 300 just for my math. That's 300 strikeouts, right? Roughly.
She struck out the set every inning. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna go 185, 187.
Still not close. 229 in 99 innings. Her
229.
229 and her ERA is 0.28.
Wow.
You want to hear the craziest part?
What's up?
She is a sophomore.
What?
She's a sophomore in high school.
What?
Yeah.
Is she like 6'4"? Is she got a crazy curveball? Like what is going on?
I don't know. She's 11-3.
I need more details.
She can slug at the plate. Apparently, she's hitting .419 with a homer and 9 ribbies. And it's not her only no-hitter of the season. She's thrown 3 no-hitters, including this perfect game on the year.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's my first one. And do you have one to talk about before I pull up the other one?
I mean, the video. Well, Joel Embiid crying with his girlfriend trying to get Insta famous. Really.
Whoa! His girlfriend is already famous. His girlfriend's a swimsuit model, Craig.
Okay,
she doesn't need a viral video of her passionate boyfriend being upset over the quadruple doink. We don't need to be making fun of people for that.
How long have they been dating?
I'm dating for a while.
Okay, well, she didn't need to. While he's crying in a public place, she didn't need to turn around and then.
She's consoling him.
She needed to turn around and cry in front of everyone. She should have had the class to turn around and bring him behind a hidden closed door.
Whoa. That seems a little unfair, Greg.
I know.
Yeah, you're just taking a shot at the Sixers losing. Still not over it. Still hurts. But you know what else happened on Sunday, Greg?
What happened?
So Sunday was Mother's Day. And the San Diego Padres took advantage of this by changing their name on Mother's Day to the Madres, which of course is Spanish for mother. Padre, of course, for father. So they didn't do this just for their jerseys, Greg.
San Diego Madres, okay.
They did it on Twitter as well, changing it from @Padres to @Madres.
Okay.
A Twitter user realized this and changed his Twitter handle to @Padres. And guess what happened next?
Okay. So they changed their Twitter to @Madres, changed their jerseys @Madres, or just
a college
Madres.
Baseball player named Ricky Padilla changed his Twitter handle to @Padres. And guess what happened next?
Oh, gosh. They lost it. They had to pay him X amount of dollars?
I do not have if they had to pay him out on it.
Isn't that illegal to give him money?
I don't know. But we just talked about you trying to do it with Bryce Harper last week. But people started tweeting @Padres because they didn't know the change.
Yeah.
They're talking all about, hey, they're trying to troll the Padres. They're trying to tweet at them to connect to the game. And this kid just tweets back at them because they're tweeting at him. Like one guy was like, hey, can we call this guy up? Ricky Padilla @Padres. Sure. Can we designate Ian Kinsler for assignment now?
So I
got it.
I was going the other direction. That's hilarious that that's
this
hilarious.
Kid just pretended to be the San Diego Padres.
Okay.
And his avatar is just his headshot for his college baseball team of him like in a hat and jersey. So it's like very clearly not a baseball team. He didn't even try to like disguise that he was a member of the San Diego Padres organization or anything. He's just taking it in stride.
Yeah, no, I that's awesome. I thought it was going a completely different direction because normally you hear about people being scumbags, but good for him, like changing it and being funny with it as opposed to, oh, give me money, give me this, give me that.
I should have looked up if there's a follow-up article because this is from Sunday night.
Well, he probably can't. He probably can't get.
Yeah,
he probably can't get money from it.
Yeah, because the end of the article says Happy Madres Day. Hopefully the Padres will be able to get their username from Padilla without making a big deal of things. So I would assume they did, but It was too funny for me when I saw that story to not include it there on the
Great
Bleacher
call.
Creatures. Even though the 21 strikeout perfect game was the obvious pick of the ones that I found, and I just checked.
I love it.
The Padres are the at Padres again, so they certainly got it back from this Padilla fellow.
Hey, promise to draft me, and I'll give you the Padres handle back.
Oh man, could you imagine? Boris is like, yo, teach me your ways. Joke didn't land as well as I thought.
So, I mean, yeah. Anyway, sorry. I just can't get over the fact the Red Sox last night 24 strikeouts as a pitching staff and lost the game. But anyway,
hey man, it happens.
Good for that girl. Great Bleacher Creature. Good for her. Great for that college kid to not be, to have fun with it, be a little bit of a scumbag, but not a complete scumbag. And Jordy, anything else?
I don't have anything baseball wise, but I did have a couple questions for you.
Okay. Shoot.
PGA Championship this week. Who do you got?
Well, if you believe every single story that's out there right now, it's every single player is talking about the longer you hit the ball, the better.
Yep.
Tiger Woods, Rory, Brooks, DJ, everyone's saying that they didn't even go out and practice putting. They're just straight hitting drivers to try and get the drivers right for the weekend.
Yes.
Which basically means you're looking at what? Rory, Jason, Day, Brooks, Koepka, Dustin Johnson. Who else crushes the ball?
Yeah, John Rahm can. I was talking about with a few people, and they reminded me that he's not the best on weekends. Jason Day, you almost even have to put a step below Rory, DJ.
Oh, okay.
Koepka. But yeah, I mean, that's no bullshit. I've never played the black. I have friends that are from Long Island that go home from Philadelphia to their parents' places just to play it because it's significantly cheaper if you're from the state of New York to play there than being an outsider because it is in a state park. If you did not know that, but what they've said, and from other people who aren't just Long Islanders, have said that have played the course, that you hit the best drive of your life and you still have 230, and that's from the regular tees. So I can only imagine from all the way tipped out what these guys are actually hitting. If you watched a little bit last week, Koepka, he clobbers the ball for one, but the first hole at the course where the Byron Nelson was, it's about a 650-yard par 5. He hits his ball, or 550. He hits his ball 350, has 200 left. Mentions in interviews that's his stock 7-iron distance. It's tough not to think that he might be able to go back-to-back. It'd be cool to see Tiger do it. If I had to pick one of the courses, if Tiger was going to win another major this year, which is awesome to just say that on air, Greg. But I'd have to go with Pebble.
Well, the stat it's funny because they're saying the last time Tiger ever won the first two majors of the year, it was the Masters followed by Bethpage Black.
Yeah, when it was a U.S. Open course too. So that's assuming that the PGA of America isn't setting it up as hard as the USGA does, which is typical for this type of setup.
Yeah, no, and I think, I mean, looking at how things go, looking how things go, I think, it's going to be raining every night. It's going to, you know what I mean?
Which just adds so much more distance.
To it. And I don't know if Tiger has the length to compete with the Rory, to compete with the Brooks. I mean, everyone's saying Brooks. Everyone's saying Brooks going into it. Everyone was saying.
I feel like it's either Brooks or Rory. I feel like if you see that as the final group, don't be surprised.
I mean, what about DJ?
Yeah, DJ certainly can do it when DJ's on his best.
You're sleeping on him.
I mean, he's nearly untouchable when he's on his best. I mean, there's still that gif from I think a year ago or a year and a half ago where he and Jordan Spieth are in the playoff. I think it might almost be 2 years ago now. But the drive goes over water. DJ just can carry it so much further that he gets 70 yards closer to the hole than Jordan Spieth could because he just can hit it that much further. Yeah. They show the graphic of that, and it looks like a fucking triangle that you do in geometry class. It's insane.
So I guess I'm gonna go. Yeah, I guess I'll go with. Sorry to cut you off, but
no, you're good.
I guess I'm gonna go DJ. I mean, Brooks, Koepka.
I like it. I like DJ.
Yeah, just to pick against the favorite, I'm gonna go Brooks.
Yeah. You mean DJ or Brooks?
Sorry, DJ. To pick against to pick against the whatever
Brooks. The reigning champion,
right.
defending champion.
Right.
I'm a bigger Brooks fan than DJ, but I certainly respect that, and I think DJ's due for another major, considering it looked like he was going to win everything under the sun when he finally did win the U.S. Open in 2016. I am a big Rory fan. Now the 6th year that we've been covering golf, I think I've picked Rory in a number of the different ones, including in the 2014 PGA, where I was only a shot off of what Rory's winning score would be. Not a big deal. But I'm going to pick him here. I think he's also overdue for another major. He hasn't won in almost 5 years. He's looked better. He's had a couple years where he struggled. He's had a couple years where one half stinks, another's great. He's starting to put it together, though, this year, and I think that this is something this is a tournament where he has the distance. He's starting to figure it out putting-wise. I think his iron play is great. And if it comes down to it with chipping, I think that's where DJ gets the edge over a lot of players. Brooks, we've seen, he's a big, get it on the green. I want to get a par. If I can get a birdie, that's great. And we may not see that. We might have to see him use his short game to really win here. So I'm not too sure with that. I think DJ has an edge there, but I think Rory has that complete package, and I think this is just the right upswing for him. A little bit of a homer pick because I love the guy and would love to see him win another major, but I'm going to go with Rory.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, and then Bruins are up 3-0. Obviously, we feel confident that they're going to get through. Do they close out the sweep, or do you think they're going to go gentleman's sweep and take it in Boston?
I don't want them to win in 4 because if you listened to anything else, teams that sweep and then have to wait around for another series do not do well. I mean, the Red Sox really beat the Rockies the first time around. The Rockies swept and waited for the Red Sox to come back on the Yankees, and then, that was the first one. The Red Sox, well, it still won 7, but they ended up beating the Rockies. So I think this. I mean, sorry, the Hurricanes even swept the round before and had to wait for the Bruins. So I'm hoping that the Bruins don't sweep just for that sake. But my nerves would love it if they swept, so I could have a little break before the 27th. Yeah, the 27th, or no. When would game one
Whenever
be?
the finals start. Yeah.
Yeah. So
what is it? The Saturday Memorial Day they try to do for the start of it.
So that'd be the 25th.
Yeah, something like that.
Right. Yeah. But that's my point is that they would have home ice. Hopefully, if they can win one more, they would have home ice for the Stanley Cup. So I'm rooting for Jumbo Joe versus the Bruins, even though San Jose is a crazy matchup for them. But
yeah, you picked that in 7. I pick St. Louis in 6. I have a feeling that I wish I can pick my games back. I still think St. Louis pulls it out, but I think that thing's going 7. The first 2 games have been great. St. Louis looked a little bit outclassed, but Binnington just had kind of a struggle in game 1. But game 2 of that series was fantastic to watch.
Yeah, and I think Martin Jones really is the X factor. I mean,
he absolutely is.
He's such like a non-elite goalie. That's crazy they're making this far, and then you turn around and he has a game of his life in game 1, and so it's crazy to me. But any other questions?
If San Jose makes it, and say it goes like Bruins win in 6 or 7. Assuming that he competes at the same trajectory that he does Logan Couture win the Conn Smythe Trophy as a losing finalist?
Win or lose. Yeah, I mean, if you're getting
that effort, like the 2 goals he had the other night were insane, and he's basically been doing that the whole playoffs.
Let's say you're minimum getting 2 points a game in you can call it 5, 6, 7 game series, whatever it is. If you're getting 2 points a game, regardless, I think you deserve to win the Conn Smythe.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, do you think like who on the if there was a Bruin that would be able to usurp that, like a Bergeron or a Pastrnak or somebody? Yeah,
I mean the issue with the Bruins is that they're getting but the benefit of the Bruins is that they're getting scoring from all 4 lines. So reality is they I
almost said Charlie Coyle in there, but I don't think he's going to win the Conn Smythe if the Bruins win the Stanley Cup.
Well, the Conn Smythe is just for the
whole playoffs.
Okay, well then you could argue Tuukka Rask. If the Bruins
win,
that's true. If the Bruins win, and let's say the games are 2-1, whatever, you could argue Tuukka Rask because he's a huge reason, if not the reason, why they are here.
Yeah, I mainly wanted to just talk about Logan Couture for a second because those 2 goals the other night were absolutely insane.
Yeah, no, I agree.
That takeover factor. You don't see it that often in hockey, almost like a LeBron or whomever in the NBA. LeBron's kind of that game against Detroit from 10 years ago.
If anything, you see it more from goalies than you would from.
Yeah, exactly. You don't see it from a forward that often. And the fact that in that short span, he just absolutely took over is insane. But yeah, that's going to do it for me. Unless you have anything else you want to ask.
Yeah. How soon is too soon before we get rid of Kyrie and talk about how the Sixers blew their shot?
I don't think it's their only shot. I
didn't say their only shot. They blew their shot.
They certainly they let the series slip through their fingers. They should have won Game 4. They really fucked that up. And then it would have been a whole different series. You get that Game 6 where it was rocking, and you had the opportunity of a lifetime to pull it out. We'll see how this series goes with the Bucks and the Raptors. We'll have to get Matty D involved for an off-season NBA pod because he.
Could you imagine a more boring, like Milwaukee or Toronto versus
Golden State,
or even or even Portland?
I'd be excited to see Portland. I mean, part of that's that CJ. I went to college with CJ McCollum, but so I'd love to see him win a title. But Portland's a fun team. They're fun enough. They're like, if it was like a battle of guards of like Kawhi versus Damian Lillard, like that's the wild card series. But anything else is like Giannis versus the Warriors. Okay, that's probably the best skill matchup, but I don't know, any other mix in there is not exciting, even without Kevin Durant.
Yeah, no, I agree. So Durant's definitely out.
Yeah, he probably comes. I know he's out for Game 2, so maybe he comes back soon. I don't know. It looks like it's not that serious.
Awesome. All right, Jordy, go Bees.
Greg, one last question because there was a pop up about this. How do you feel after seeing the arch rival New York Jets acquire Le'Veon Bell? How do you feel that they've now fired the GM that traded for Le'Veon Bell?
Well, they had a great offseason, right? They had a
great offseason.
They signed all the right players. They had a great draft. They had an unbelievable offseason. And you turn around and fire unless the coach has been doing it, but you fire the guys. Either something's coming out or the coach has been the one running it.
Yeah. Just want to get your opinion on there. The king will stay king until he's usurped, as I've said before. It's the Patriots to lose. But just wanted to see if you what your thoughts were. And
hey, Daenerys destroyed an entire world with one dragon, so you never know.
Yeah, that's true.
Go Bees, go Sox, and
go Phillies.
Go Phils.
Yeah. All right, that's going to do it for us. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to us. The Bullpen Cart on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Podcoin, wherever you get your podcast. Thunder BLG on Twitter, Thunderblog Sports on Instagram and Facebook. Greg, thank you as always. This was a ton of fun. And for my man, Greg Piatelli, I will see you guys next week. And go Phils.
Go Sox.